Okay, hello everyone. Today I wanted to do a video about resources for learning Hungarian. Hungarian has a well-deserved reputation for being a difficult language, although I think it is achievable to learn it. And it's quite interesting. A lot of the material on YouTube is sort of geared toward more kind of phrasebook level learning. There's also Duolingo has a Hungarian course that I think can be useful for learning some vocabulary, but is not really doesn't really explain grammar very well. And I don't like to bring up Duolingo often, but I will mention it here because it is the most, I think, accessible. But for my purposes and kind of the goal of this channel is to, how to learn languages for reading, whether it's literature or, historical texts and documents. Since I am a historian primarily. And so how would how would you get into Hungarian? And I've got sort of my collection of Hungarian materials here, so I thought I'd just discuss them. So we'll get to this in a second, but I think I'll go with the order I kind of got these. So the first grammar I got was this one, the Carol H. Rounds, Hungarian and Essential Grammar. This one I think is the easiest to find. Not my favorite, but it explains things, and that the layout is attractive. I think, and I haven't actually used this for learning in a while, but I might come back to this and give a deeper review at some point. Maybe if I spend a month or so with it again, and come back to it. But I think this could give you the basic principles, which I should discuss. If you don't, why is Hungarian so hard? This is often said, but there is a good reason. So first of all, Hungarian is either, depending on who you talk to, it's a Finno-Ugric or Altaic language. I think Finno-Ugric now is the more mainstream academic consensus of what type of language it is. But in terms of kind of thinking European languages, it's not Slavic, it's not a Romance language, it's not a Germanic language, it's in its own category. And the other thing, it is an agglutinative language, so you combine, every word is combined with prefixes and a lot of suffixes, cases, to conjugate the verbs and give the meaning. So if you're used to English, we would say in the, or I am at home, right? And in Hungarian, at is a suffix that's added to the word. But just to give you an idea of what it sounds like, so you would say, in kertem, in bemutatom, te ütöted, te kerted, bemutatod. So it's quite different from most, I would say, European languages. And it's also very complex. So a lot of languages, like Turkic languages, have a case system, but in Hungarian, it's far more extensive. That's why you really have to learn the grammar. Hungarian is not a language, I think, where you could, if you're a native speaker, where you could just get by never really studying the grammar. You really have to have it explained because a lot of it is far more detailed than other languages, and it's a lot of I would say generally the language is highly contextual. So if you're looking up words in a dictionary, for example, you have to have a really detailed dictionary sometimes for certain expressions. That's Rounds' grammar that I got. Like I said, I think the main strength of this one is that it's pretty easy. It's still in print as far as I know, published by Routledge. So it's going to be kind of expensive, but it is accessible. And then the next book I got, that I think this is probably the best Hungarian textbook that I've used, frankly. This is Learn Hungarian. This is originally published or my edition is from 1965, but it was republished. I was looking online at some of the book archive sites, and there's later editions from like the 1980s. But I think this book is the best because it's got some pictures that genuinely help. But I would say the strength of this book is that the lessons are very well paced. So as you go through it, the language, you feel like you're kind of on an upward curve rather than, kind of suddenly jumping from one thing to the next. And everything, I would say pretty much everything is explained pretty well, and succinctly. You're not going to get, I've never studied from this book and felt like kind of lost. There's been times where, kind of for me, I've had to go back and reread things to make sure I understood it, but was not, not like the fault of the book not explaining things well. You have pretty, long vocabulary lists. This is one thing where I think it is a little annoying, is the vocabulary lists are not alphabetized. So they're kind of grouped. I think the logic is they're grouped based on the appearance of the words in the lesson, which is not always helpful. But the glossary in the back is, of course, alphabetized. But like I said, I think this is the best one. This has been scanned online, and you can find this. And honestly, looking through this, I really would like to start working from this book again. And the reading sections, I would say, are also really nice, especially if you want to go back and practice. Like I will go back to these just to study, and I think most of the narratives, it's dealing with, I mean, they're kind of textbooky narratives of like day-to-day life, but they are, helpful, but like this one, angol turisták vagyunk Londonból, sétálunk Budapesten a magyar fővárosban, megnézzük a várost, az a utcakat, a tereket, a parkokat, a szép hidakat és a gyönyörű Dunapartot. Figyeljük az élénk forgalmat, a budapesti életet. Megnézzük az ízléses kirakatokban a sok szép árut. Nézzük az árakat. I haven't. My Hungarian is kind of rusty, to be honest, but I have to start studying again. But another reason why Hungarian is difficult is because the verbs are not, the word order of the sentences is not consistent. So Turkic languages, you have a similar logic to them as Hungarian, but Turkic languages generally have a pretty strict word order. Even Ottoman Turkish, which has quite different grammar or in some respects from modern Turkish. You still have the verb is always going to be at the end of the sentence, and there's kind of logic. Hungarian is what my professor called a topic function language, which is kind of weird. If not, the concept is weird, but it's unusual, I should say, in that the way words are grouped has its kind of own rhythm that you have to just kind of learn. There's probably some sort of rationale to it. I don't know, but like here at the beginning of this sentence, we have Sétálunk Budapesten. Sétál, we walk. Unk is the we ending. We walk Budapesten. We walk in Budapest. A magyar fővárosban in. So ban is the in ending. Főváros, it's the capital city. And then a magyar, the Hungarian capital city. Megnézzük a várost. I think that's we look at. So néz, I think, is look. Sorry, but we look at the city, the streets, the terraces or the squares, I think, the parks, and a szép hidakat, the beautiful. I think that Híd bridge, the beautiful bridges, and the beautiful Duna partot. I don't remember what that means right now. So that's why it's kind of odd, or unusual, compared to what, maybe probably a native English speaker or even a native speaker of another European language might be used to. Although, because of the similar principles, I think native speakers of Turkish or other Turkic languages can kind of learn Hungarian a little more quickly. Although, to me, Hungarian is more challenging than Turkic languages. And there's also not many sort of cognates with other languages compared to, like German or Spanish or French to English. A lot of the words are created for the language, even words for, newer things, although that's not always the case. But you really cannot kind of fudge your way through with that kind of, just knowing enough kind of cognates and that sort of thing. Like I said, I really can't say enough good things about this. I really like this textbook, and I kind of want to dive back into Hungarian with this again, which I'm hoping to do soon. So there's that, and if you want a hard copy of this, you can probably still find these. Might be a little pricey, but like I said, there's this. My edition's from 1965, but I'm sure you can find others. And if you want, though, just a grammar kind of reference that's going to help you focus on, if you maybe are in a Hungarian class, if you can do that, or, you just want kind of a reference. If you're someone like me who wants to learn, maybe, if you're studying history in graduate school and you do want to do like 20th century kind of history or earlier, I like the earlier Hungarian history, pre 18th century thereabouts. But this is a nice, just small reference guide, Hungarian verbs and essentials of grammar. This has been through a few different editions. This one is from. This is a relatively more recent edition, 1997, so over 25 years old, but almost 30. But this has a nice, just everything is here, really quick crash course and everything. I wouldn't call this a kind of learning book, but you can use it for that. And it has everything. Probably the most important page in this book is the noun case ending summary sheet, and this explains all of the cases. Another reason why, as I mentioned earlier, that this is a difficult language for people who may not be used to something like this. And Hungarian nouns have, for some of the cases, have a pretty detailed kind of system of directions of, so, you have, like, for example, the terminative case, up to, until. So, like, you're like, at the door of the restaurant versus going into the restaurant, or saying like, hos, has, well, ig is probably more like I am going up to or until a certain place or time. Hos, has, whose is kind of more that sense of I'm going to the front of something, whereas ba, be is into, going in, like going into the store or going into the restaurant, something like that. It's quite detailed, and not the easiest thing to do, to learn. But like any language, it's just a matter of kind of getting the time in, and that sort of thing. The next book I have, this is a more recent acquisition to my kind of collection, is Hungarian in Words and Pictures. This is kind of like Learn Hungarian, similar sort of textbook. This one is nice. I would say I don't like it as much as Learn Hungarian, but it does have nice pictures. I mean, and that does make a big difference, especially, when it's explaining some of the case endings that deal with kind of spatial relationships. That's important. And this is also an older book. This is published 1990, and textbook for foreigners. It is designed with foreigners in mind. I would say it's a fine textbook if you can find this used somewhere, maybe as a bargain. I think it's worth picking up. If anything else, I think with any of these learning books, for any language, it's just nice to buy one and take a look at it. It might be helpful, or just to read them. That can be productive too. Now, as far as dictionaries go, I'm frankly not very impressed with the quality of more recent Hungarian to English dictionaries. This is one I got in Budapest. This one is very basic. I should be clear. For my purposes, this is not a very satisfying dictionary. For what I'm working with, wanting to read like older documents, there's a lot missing from this. And now with the internet, if most people need a kind of dictionary function, you would go to like a Deep L. I think Deep L probably has the strongest Hungarian machine translation, although obviously it's got its problems, and shouldn't be totally relied upon. But this is a pretty basic dictionary, but like I said, it's not comprehensive. The most comprehensive Hungarian dictionary I found, well, there's a large Hungarian to English dictionary that was published in the 20th century, that is like hundreds and hundreds of pages longer than this, that is quite good. You can probably find that on Internet Archive, and the name of the author or the editor of that dictionary is escaping me at the moment, but it's a pretty big dictionary. I think that one is also published by Akademiai Kiado. But the online dictionary that I found that is quite good is called Web for Ditash, and that has a lot of, so it does Hungarian English. It can also show Hungarian German and give you all of the definitions, side by side. It also has a lot of the kind of unusual or the kind of phrases that aren't easily translated into English if you saw them, if you look up each word individually. Hungarian has a lot of phrasal constructions that are like that, if you have like the three words, if you look them up individually and then try to translate them into English, it's going to not really be right. But that Web for Ditash does give those for when I've used it. So yeah, dictionary is not great, but I think if you want to do like kind of detailed translation, having a paper dictionary is good, and kind of necessary at times, and that's the main issue, I think, with learning Hungarian, is just the lack of a solid dictionary. But in terms of the kind of reference material out there, it's pretty good. Like I said, if you had to buy like one book to get started, I would recommend this one. This one's pretty easy to pick up, and not super expensive. And if I had to recommend of the kind of grammar books that I've presented, this is my favorite. There's also the Hungarolingua program that's published by the University of Debrecen, yes, I believe it's University of Debrecen Press. That's pretty good, but that's more of like kind of your like high school, college style textbook, and that one you would really need, I think, a teacher to work with you or a professor. This one you can use for self-study very easily, and because I believe for the exercises, does it have the answers in the back? Yes, I believe it does, or maybe not. Okay. Anyway, but the point is, this is the best one, I think. And Hungarian is also a language that you really will need, I think, some kind of real instruction eventually, and someone who can teach it well. One thing I encountered in Hungary was sometimes the quality of knowledge of the language was not, it was not sort of presented in a way that was friendly to making it intelligible to a non-native speaker. It's kind of wordy, but it was a little not easy to learn in the country when I had the opportunity to live there. And anyway, it just requires a lot of practice and a very good teacher in person. And when you have that, which I did have the opportunity to take proper Hungarian courses with a really good professor, and that made I learned a lot quicker than I did through self-study, but that's not easy to find, unfortunately. But anyway, I highly recommend people try to learn Hungarian, or even just learn about the language. It's very interesting. There's a lot of stuff. We might, on a future video, I might cover things like the early Hungarian texts, and some of the theories of the Hungarian language. That's kind of contentious academically, but it is interesting. There is some loan words from Turkic languages that have accumulated over the centuries, and things like that. It's gone through, like any language, it's gone through some major changes over the centuries. So I might revisit that, but this is just a video to kind of give you some potential resources, and I hope you found that helpful. And I will talk to you in the next video.